Hello everyone, this is Gorax. In today's video I'll show you a free-to-play Vortex team based on Ice Blast that is able to do over 25 million damage on Temporal Vortex level 4, which grants you all these rewards daily. Let's dive in. So here's the first team where we use Garius. Probability of you having Garius is the same as any other epic. So if you don't have him, there are other options and I'll show them later on. But as you can see, we are at over 27 million damage now using all these epic and rare heroes. And I'll go over the equipment as soon as this fight finishes. As you can see, we are at 70 stacks with 33 million damage, and this team, the Garius, doesn't even have a legendary artifact that is so OP on Garius. As you can see here, during the heal, there's no shield. So yeah, the team stopped at 33.5 million damage, and let's go over the timings and the equipment on those heroes. What can make or break your Vortex team is the skill timings on the heroes. So the team we're gonna use here is Garius to use his tremendous defensive capabilities as well as a heal. Catherine, because she provides us with debuff immunity as well as a heal, and when she overheals, she shields, which is what makes Garius with his legendary artifacts so strong. But in this team, we're not gonna use any legendary artifacts. We're gonna use Gerfen and Bledin, two best epic Ice Blast heroes. Gerfen will be the main damage, and Bledin will be the one enabling. And we don't really want to bring a third Ice Blast hero. We could consider Nord, but Bledin is the only one who can give us Ice Crystals. If you have Sheena, you can replace Bledin with Sheena and bring another Ice Blast damage dealer, or even put Sheena instead of Gulal. Gulal is the last hero here. He's going to provide us with attack penalty. So let's go over the skill timings and then we go over the equipment. So Garius ultimate heals, and we want to cast it at 26 seconds with casting interval 20. The casting interval of 20 is on our supports and utility heroes because this is the rotation of the boss. So we are casting Catherine's ultimate here at 14.8. This is before the boss cast the skill that reduced the defense, which we avoid because we have a debuff immunity. So this is what makes Catherine so great. Her passive also grants us a shield when she overheals, so it also a good protection. And we're using Garius ultimate 26 seconds. These rotations help us survive as long as possible. Our damage dealers are not under the rotation. Usually you would probably want to cast Garius ultimate at 21.5 seconds, but we are using Gulal's attack penalty here at 21, which means we will lower the damage of the ultimate and the next skill. So we won't be taking that much damage, and this really delays our deaths. As you can see, we got to 70 stacks. Now the equipment I used on Garius, we have, as I said, no legendary artifacts, so we're using Scarab Amulet. We want this defense percentage here. If you have better artifacts, you might consider them, but out of the epic ones, Scarab is the best one on him. Grants us also a shield based on defense. We're focusing defense as a main stat, going a little bit with HP on the other stats as well, wherever we can, but mostly when you can't have a main stat defense like on helmet and weapon, you want to get as much defense percentage on your substats here. We're utilizing the Ancestor Protection set because it grants us extra HP and also gives us a damage reduction of 50%, but also takes the damage of our other heroes. So yeah, this is why we use Garius, but don't worry, there will be teams without Garius as well. Our support will be Catherine. As I said, her passive, when she overheals, 50% of that overflowing healing is converted into shield, what makes her amazing. And we have an ultimate that grants debuff immunity, and we're using her with a healing set on top of it. So when she casts this, she will also heal with this ultimate to make sure everyone is at full HP, and we're utilizing Mirror of the Living to boost the healing. She scales with Enlightenment and Target Max HP, so it's good to have a mix of Enlightenment and defensive stats so she can survive as much as possible. The Enlightenment you can have as a main stat on chest and positive rune, so make sure you have that there. Gulal is our another support hero that we'll utilize. As you can see, I put Eyeball of the Giant on him, and the only reason I put that Eyeball of the Giant on him is because we have a crown on someone else, and we're boosting his damage a little bit. There's no many accuracy artifacts available for free-to-play players that are useful, so that's why I went with damage from the ultimate. I could probably put anything else, really. It doesn't matter, he's not going to be the main damage dealer, but it helps to boost the damage a little bit. We are using Cyril set on him, focused on accuracy on the chest, and a little bit of crit rate, crit damage, and accuracy negative rune to make sure we have enough accuracy to apply the attack penalty of the boss. And as you can see, he's got quite good stats with crit rate and crit damage. So Gulal will be here to apply attack penalty. Our defense penalty, which is Crown of the Unclean, will be applied by Bledin. Bledin does not apply any debuffs, but we're gonna make him to apply this. Now, as you can see, I'm not even at the accuracy cap here, right? So despite that, as you can see, I don't even have good runes because this is a test server, so my equipment is really limited. But what you should be aiming is for 230 accuracy to make sure you always have Crown of the Unclean. During the fight, sometimes the boss resisted it, so the damage output could have been even higher. So keep that in mind, 230 accuracy plus the affinity ones. As I said, Bledin is here to grant us the stacks of ice crystal and grants attack up to Garfin. He's built with crown, accuracy here, and I know I have attack here, but if you can't reach the threshold with accuracy, make sure you actually use accuracy here. You should have enough accuracy if you have good rolls of accuracy on the substats. So as you can see, I don't. Okay, so that's the issue on a test server. Your real Archon should have better equipment. And then we move to Garfen. So Garfen is the main damage dealer. We'll use Manticore Statue because it boosts the damage of the battle skill, and Ice Blast Team does most of the damage through the battle skill. We'll go over Inventor's top hat. So Inventor set on all the Ice Blast heroes, but based on attack and crit damage. We don't want to have more crit rate than 80%. Because she's got 20 when she casts this, so she's got a buff here to boost crit rate by 20. Same with Bledin, you want ideally 80% crit rate. This is why they are so easy to build. Crit damage runes, crit damage on the glove, because she's easy to build that crit rate on, and attack here on the chest. And this team can do over 30 million damage, free to play, friendly. Let's go over the next team. So here's another team. This team does not have Garius, and we are doing over 25 million damage at 45 stacks. I'll go over the skill timing and the equipment just after this fight. So as you can see, we get up to 29 million with Garfen being the main damage source. Let's go over the skill timing and equipment right now. So as you can see, the team differs from the previous one. We don't have Garius and we drop Gulal. Instead of Garius, we brought in Dueling, and we're basically using the same equipment we had on Garius. So defensive stats everywhere. The thing that Dueling provides a team with is the ally protection, which absorbs the damage from the allies, which means our team can survive better. However, that plus the defensive ancestral protection set makes Dueling take a lot of damage later when the boss has more stacks. So we had to bring in another healer on top of Catherine. Catherine has the exact same equipment. Garfen has the exact same equipment. Now with Bledin, I boosted the accuracy. It's still below the cap, but it's enough to keep this buff constantly. But we had to add another healer and Quarian is amazing. Okay, Quarion has a huge heals. We also boost his healing and has a low cooldowns. On top of that, we're running another healing set here, which will help us to keep everyone alive. He's also providing the team with defense up, which is something not to forget about because it boosts the defense by 30% of everyone, and he has a 20% chance of increasing the healing by 50%. Now, the skill timing is a little bit different. What we want to do here is we want Catherine to still make us immune to the defense down. We want to cast Dueling's ultimate, so he's taking more damage, but we also want to heal our team at that time. This will help us to survive longer and prolong the fight for our damage dealers to go over 25 million damage. Let's look at another team that I prepared for you. Now here's another team that plays the scenario when you don't have Dueling or Garius, right? So in this team, we're not using a single tank, we're using 2 healers, but we're bringing in 3 Ice Blast heroes to make sure we do enough damage before the team falls. As you can see, we are at 35 stacks, and 2 of our 5 heroes have already fallen. We still managed to go over 25 million with this team. Let's go over the skill timing and the gear. So that's the team. Catherine will be using the same exact equipment we've been using in all previous teams. We're gonna use Garfen with the exact same equipment we used in all of the previous teams. So the damage part and the healing is the same. Paladin will use this accuracy set, but with lower accuracy. Okay, I wanted to show you guys that this works despite us having lower accuracy, and we could apply that. We could see that buff being applied despite that. And then we look at the new, an old Quarion. Well, we built Quarion as a tank. Yes, so he is the one absorbing. Quarion has no scaling. He scales with target's max HP. So this helps us to put all the defensive stats on him, making him the tank and the one taking the second skill of the boss. And we brought in Nord to do damage. Okay, Nord has a good damage, and he also grants an ice crystal to an ally when he hits with his attack. Okay, so he's got 25% chance of granting 1 stack ice crystal to the Ice Blast ally with the highest attack, which will be Bledin. Which will be Garfen. So he's like a cheap Bledin. If you don't have Bledin, you can use him. And yeah, the skill timings, Catherine will not change. Okay, she's quite mandatory at the teams that I presented at the moment. Then we have Garfen. As you can see, we put the timing on the first ultimate. So we want Bledin to give 20% attack to Garfen, and we'll follow that with North as well. And Quarion will heal here, and it works. Okay, this timing works. If you die early, you can try Quarion's heal at 21.5 as well. But since this covers the third skill and ultimate, I prefer to heal on the first skill. So let's go over the next team. Here comes another team that can do over 25 million damage, and this time around, we don't have Catherine. And as you can see, even with a common hero, we are able to do over 25 million damage. Right, so let's go over this team. There are a few changes, but the core stay the same. You need Garfen, you need Bledin. That's right, those stay the same. Garfen is the hero that enables all of this to work and get us over to 25 million damage. And the basic strategy here is having 2 Ice Blast heroes and 3 supports to really utilize it. And as you can see, we're basically doing the same. This time around, Quarion is not tanking. We have Clovis, who can tank it. Clovis is a defensive hero that also has attack penalty. So you remember I used Gulal. This time around, I'm using Clovis. And if you don't have Clovis, you can still put Gulal in this team and it will work. The only difference is you'll need to put defensive equipment on Quarion. And we also brought in Meredith. Now, the issue with Meredith is she's common, so we can't level up her skills, which means her ultimate skill is at 21.9 seconds. We want that to be at 20 seconds. Now, as you can see here, she's got a really huge heal with no scaling, 25% of target's max HP and 20 on a single. She also increases healing by 10%. We also put a haste set with healing on her, and to get her below the 20 seconds we need haste runes, at least the double rolls, at least on one of them, to have enough haste to get this skill to below 22 seconds, but we still need 20. So how do we do that? We put an incest burner here, which gives us a 10% after unleashing the ultimate. So that means 2 seconds out of this ultimate cooldown, which drops it below 20 seconds, which helps us with the rotation. And the rotation is as follows. We're gonna do the first ultimate skill on both of our damage dealers to boost it, and then we play it on default. Quarion still heals at 26 with 20-second rotation. Maradif heals at 16. That is important. This is a huge change here with 20-second cooldown. So basically we heal after the third skill, which will damage us. We need to heal back up because then we'll receive the ultimate and a little bit of first skill, but we will reduce the damage of the ultimate plus the first skill here through Clovis ultimate. And this team again over 25 million damage. So if you wonder what happens when you use Sadik, Sadik's damage will be lower than Garfen, which means you will die quicker, but with good enough setup you can still get close to 25 million depending on the buffs that the boss has. So let's go over the equipment and the casting on this team. Right, so here's the team. We use the dueling team, which is the one that was able to do 29 million with Garfen. With Sadik, we're doing around 24 to 25 as well. So when it comes to the equipment, it's pretty simple here. The same equipment that we used previously on the dueling team with Garfen for everyone. And I'll go over Sadik equipment because that's the difference, and this is what's making this team do less damage than with the Garfen. Sadik is a little bit harder to build because he needs 100% crit rate, which means his crit damage will be lower. He doesn't have any crit rate on his skills, so that's why we need to sacrifice a little bit of attack, a little bit of crit damage to get this extra crit rate. But other than that, we're using the same set, like Inventor set. Just the gloves are crit rate instead of crit damage, and this is the only difference. But yes, as you can see, free-to-play players, if they invested into Ice Blast team, if they invested into the banner, they can come up with at least 5 teams that will do 25 million damage over on the Temporal Vortex to get daily max rewards. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please click the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. As always, thank you for watching, stay safe, bye!